My name's Fiona, I'm the Taubmans Colour Specialist, and we are here tonight to answer all of your frequently asked questions. So if you're joining us for the first time, I'll run through how we sort of execute these sessions if you like. So for the next half an hour, I'll be on screen streaming, and then after that I'll be on, or behind the scenes if you like, on the computer answering all of your colour questions. So we are here to help you with anything that you're embarking on. So any project that you have on the go that you'd like some advice with, certainly pop any questions that you do have into our feed. And if you are having or wanting some assistance with any photos or pictures of areas in question, if you can please hold off until we finish streaming and then put your photos into the feed, and I'll certainly do my best to answer them for you. So as I said, we'll answer all your questions regarding colour, projects, and certainly we are here to assist you with some beautiful products that we have available to beautify your space. So use this as an opportunity to have a voice and certainly start firing some questions at me, because I'm here to help you. So I do have quite a few questions that I have prepared earlier, if you like, while I'm waiting for yours to come through to me. And we find all of these questions by going through all of our social media platforms, etc., to find questions that are frequently asked. And certainly if you find me out and about in store, I like to bring some of the questions that I'm asked when I'm out helping customers and consumers with colour, etc., products, projects. So we like to bring those to life so that we can keep it real. So I'm going to start tonight, and you'll have to excuse me as I put my head down and read the first question that I have. So I have recently purchased an old house and the walls have been patched several times. I have thought about putting up new plasterboard, however, the quote is not within our budget. Can you please tell me if there is a paint I can use to help disguise the imperfections? Also, what colour should I use? The floorboards are Baltic pine and the front door has a lot of LED light with green and red tones. I want a white to take throughout the house that has a bit of colour. Okay, well, thank you very much for your question. So given that you have a house that has some walls with imperfections, I'll just explain to you how interior paint works. So for example, the higher the sheen level of paint, so if you went for a gloss, it really brings to life imperfections. So as you lessen the sheen level, and if you go down to a matte, it's going to do its best to hide any imperfections. And I'd certainly recommend a matte finish for, like people that are doing up old Queenslanders, people that have very long hallways, etc., where you can see, or where, imperfections can sort of come to life because of the way the lighting is. A matte paint is very much ideal. And the matte paint that I would recommend is Taubmans Endure. And the beauty of Taubmans Endure Matte is that it has ceramic microspheres within the paint, if you like. So basically what that means is that you can actually wash the matte without it burnishing. So a standard matte paint, if you were to wipe the surface down, you end up with shiny patches. So that's typically known as burnishing. But with Taubmans Endure Matte, you are safe to do so. And the fact that Endure has all of the mold inhibitors, it's been endorsed by Sensitive Choice, so it's very, it's asthma and allergy friendly, if you like. It ticks so many boxes. So I'd send you that way. And also you're asking about what colour you should use. So given that you've got LED light and you've got red and green tones, I'm thinking of a white that is perhaps quite a neutral white. So something like, you could use a Taubmans South Pole, something like that. So what I might do is I'll take you over to our website, which is www.taubmans.com.au, and I'll take you through and show you some colours. But also, while we're talking about using a beautiful neutral white on the walls, and I'd certainly, given that you've got an older style home, I think that using something like Brilliant White, so a rather bright white to paint on your trims and your doors, etc., is really going to frame up the colour and allow the colour to come to life. So I'm going to change screens, and I'm going to pop my laptop on, pop myself up in the corner. Yes, it worked. Very good. Okay, so as I said, if you go to www.taubmans.com.au, and then you can, from the drop down menus, you can choose. And as I was saying, let's quickly have a look at if you go into the products and have a look at interior paints. And here we have it here. So there's our Taubmans Endure. So Taubmans Endure is available in a matte finish as well as your low sheen, etc. But given that we're talking about walls that have imperfections, I'd send you across to a matte finish. So now let's go back over to colours. Let's click on paint colours. And the way that they have created this website, if you like, is they have grouped the colours into families, which makes it really easy to shop for colour. So we can certainly hit whites and neutrals. And we can go down, and as you scroll down here, you can see some beautiful, beautiful tones that are available to help you beautify your space if you like. We can continue on going down. So as I was saying, like brilliant white is the colour that I would recommend for using for your doors and trims. But even something like, where are we? There is another, I'll see if I can find it on here. You could go to something like high reaches, but what I'll also do is I'll take you, we'll go back to where it says colours, and I'll take you down here as well. If you know the name of the colour, this is really, really good to go down to. If you go to where it says order colour swatches and you click on that, and then in the little search function here, you can type in the name of the colour and it will bring up, oops, if you can spell, maybe not. Let's go again. And it'll bring up the colour here, and this is the colour that, and I'm going to click on it so you can actually see it in its, see it on a larger scale. This is the most beautiful tone, and I think that given that we're working with an older style home, and you're wanting a white with a little bit more colour, if you like, to it, I think that South Pole would be something definitely well worth looking at. And as we're talking about your doors and trims, going for brilliant white and looking to use a water-based enamel. So we could go back over to our products here and we'll go down to our doors and trim paints. And here is our water-based enamel. I'd certainly look to use a water-based enamel, and the reason that I say to do so is it's non-yellowing, it's going to stay beautiful and white. Again, it's a water-based product, so it's quick drying, very low odour. It's been endorsed by Sensitive Choice. So again, if you have anybody that suffers from asthma and allergies, this is certainly a product to go to. And it also has, you know, all of your mold and mildew inhibitors in it as well. So a really good choice of product for your doors and trims. Okay, I'm going to come back on the screen now. Fantastic, that worked. Okay, so the next question that I have here is, and people seem to be doing a lot of upcycling of furniture, which I think is fantastic. Reduce or reuse, reduce, recycle. I think way to go. So I've been asked on several occasions. So, you know, I have a piece of furniture that I am upcycling and it has been varnished. So what can I use to paint it white with? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, given that it has been varnished, you're going to want to use a stain blocking product on it. And I seem to find that using a shellac-based product certainly locks in any tannins, etc. So I would recommend using Taubmans Fast Dry Stain Blocker. As I said, it's shellac based, so it'll lock in stains and it's going to allow you then to use a water-based coating over the top. And as I was referring to before with a water-based enamel, certainly use a water-based enamel given that you are upcycling, reloving furniture. A water-based enamel is very hard wearing, so it's certainly going to be very durable and be able to handle being on a piece of furniture. So yeah, so look for, as I said, Taubmans Fast Drying Stain Blocker. It is shellac based and it will certainly lock in any tannins, etc. Okay, the next question, I'll just see whether I have anything happening here. Okay, so the next question I have is, hi, we are painting our investment property and want a soft white that will work throughout the entire space, taking into consideration that some rooms receive a lot of light and others not so much. Also, what paint would you recommend? Okay, so if you're wanting a soft white and you're wanting something that's going to work across all rooms, I'm going to take you to our #1 white. So I'm going to take you back over to our website. So I'll swap screens and I'll pop myself in the corner. So back to the website again, taubmans.com.au. Let's have a look at our colours. We'll click on paint colours and we'll go down. As I said before, grouped by family, so I'm going to hit whites and neutrals. And the fantastic thing is here it will show you all of the most popular whites and neutral colours. So I'm recommending that crisp white is certainly a colour to have a look at. Crisp white is our number one white. It is beautiful. So if we go down here, here we are. Here it is here. I'm just going to click on it. And we'll go through the lifestyle imagery here, but we'll go to the last one so you can see it in a block of colour if you like. So it is a beautiful, beautiful white. And what I love about this colour is it will work whether you have a space that is really well lit or whether you have a space that lacks light. And it's still it is quite bright, and the tint that goes into it is something that's called raw umber, so it gives it a very soft warmth to it. It's the most beautiful, beautiful tone. So I'm just having a look here at what else you asked. Sorry, so what paint? Okay, well that's really easy. I'm going to take you to Taubmans Endure again. And the reason I'm going to always default to Taubmans Endure is the fact that it has NanoGuard technology. So I didn't say that before, but NanoGuard technology is an actual science. So if you were to put, I'm going to get that up on the screen. It seems to be taking a moment. Okay, it's very, very slow. Let's just pop myself back on the screen here. So NanoGuard is, as I said, it's an actual science. If you were to put a standard paint film under a microscope, it has one size paint particles. With Taubmans Endure, it has the one size paint particle, but then also a smaller paint particle that fills the airspace, if you like, and creates what we call an interlocking molecular structure. So what that means is that if you are wanting to, scrub the surface, etc., you can do so. And it has all of its mold and mildew inhibitors, so it has bacteria shield. It's been endorsed by Sensitive Choice again, so it's very asthma and allergy friendly. But when you are painting out a rental, and this is something that I'm asked quite a lot when I'm in store, people say, look, I want the cheapest paint that is available. Look, a cheap paint is, fit for purpose for some purposes, but when you're doing a rental property, it's probably not fit for purpose. You want something that's going to withstand, and time is money. So you're painting out your rental property, you've got your tenants moving in, you've got your tenants moving out. To save a repaint, using a good quality paint certainly allows you to just wipe over the walls when they move out and allow the next tenant to move in. So it's something to consider. So definitely have a look at Taubmans Endure. As I said, fantastic product. Okay. I'm just going to see whether we have any questions coming up here. And I'll just check with my team here. It just seems to be very slow where I am here tonight. I'm just hoping that it's not just an issue with our streaming tonight. We do have some very bad weather up here, so I'm hoping that everything's going okay. Okay, so I'm going to continue on. Okay, no questions yet, not a problem. Thanks. Right, I'm going to continue on. Now, what else do I have here? Okay, so the next question is, and this is a really, really important one, I think. So, okay, I have a north-facing room and want to know what is the best type of white to use, cool or warm? Okay, so, whites can be tricky. So a room that receives a lot of light handles a bright white or a cooler white really, really well. Okay, so and a room that is south-facing or does not receive a lot of light desires a warmer colour to ensure that the room feels, so it feels warm, it feels comfortable to sit in, etc., etc. And I find that spaces that are dimly lit, if you're using a cooler toned white within there, it can actually make the room feel quite gloomy or dim or dull, if you like. So something to consider. So sometimes in a lot of homes, people like, thanks Natasha, I'm glad the stream is good. Thank you for letting me know. People like to use one colour throughout a space, and to be honest, I love that look as well, and I've done that within my own house. I've used crisp white. I do have rooms that don't have a lot of light, but then I also have rooms that are absolutely drenched in sun, and crisp white is working extremely well for me. But don't be afraid to, if you do have a space that your north facing room receives a lot of light, don't be afraid to use a brighter white in there. And certainly don't be afraid when you're moving to other wings of the house that don't receive as much light to change your white slightly to accommodate for that space. But what I would recommend, and I think this is really, really important, so if you have are trialing a colour, get yourself a sample pot. Get yourself, and I say this every single week, I can't reiterate this enough, get yourself a sample pot, a large piece of cardboard. And when I'm talking large, you want to use at least 1 metre by 1 metre square. Brush out 3 coats of the desired colour. And then also, once you've put your 3 coats on, move the piece of cardboard around your space and pay particular attention to putting the piece of cardboard up near the ceiling and then also down near the floor. And the reason I say that is like rooms that have, for example, warmth of timber floorboards, etc. So, and you're putting the white down there, you want to see how the white's going to look when you put your white next to the timber, because sometimes timber can reflect, the warmth of the glow from timber can reflect onto the walls and distort your white. And so I think it's really important that if you try or you sample your white down near the floor and also up near the ceiling, and I say up near the ceiling so that you can see what's going to happen in within, let's say, daylight, so natural light, but also under artificial lighting, because artificial lighting will distort your colour or change your colour. So the best thing that you can do is to trial your colour first, and then you're not going to be disappointed, and you're actually going to see how it's going to play within its environment, if you like. Okay, I've got some questions, so I'm going to go to those. So hi Michelle, thank you very much for joining our session tonight. So your question is, should the wall colour be the same tone as the floors, or does it not matter? For example, warm walls and warm floors. Look, you can certainly do that. It's entirely up to you, but as I have just said, ensuring that you sample your colour first to see how it's going to work within the space. There's nothing wrong with using a warmer toned white, etc. with warm floorboards at all. I mean, just take into consideration where the room lies, whether it's north facing, south facing, etc., how much natural light, etc., comes into that space, and then go from there. But you certainly can do that. And you can certainly use, not necessarily just a white, but warmer tones of colour as well with a warm floorboard. Just make sure that if you're going to do the warm with the warm, make sure that the tones sit really well together. I hope that helps. If you've got any more, or you want to know a little bit more, please just pop something else into the feed and I'll certainly answer it for you. So hi Belinda, thank you very much for joining us. Can you advise on rules about using the same colour on ceilings as walls for whites? Okay, I can. I love doing this and I think this looks fantastic. Now what I would recommend is, if you are going to use the same white on your ceiling, walls, and let's put in doors and trim, so you're getting that beautiful sort of white look, make sure you use the appropriate paints. So for your ceiling, you're going to be using a ceiling white, or you're going to be using a flat, if not a matte. And then on your walls, you're going to be looking to use a low sheen or a matte if you like. And then certainly on your doors and trims, use the same colour. Make sure you use a water-based enamel, because that's non-yellowing, as I explained before. And then it is entirely up to you as opposed to whether you want to go for you can get a water-based enamel in a low sheen, or you can use a semi-gloss or gloss. If you're wanting to understand how the colour is going to look, there are sheen level indicators that we have available on our colour wall, and you can see, it's probably really hard here, but you can sort of see the sheen changing slightly as I move it around. But the best thing that you can do is, if you get yourself your colour chip and you get some clear sticky tape and you stick a little bit of tape over the edge of the colour that you're looking at, or even your white, you'll get to see how it's going to look if you choose to gloss it up. But certainly using all whites or the same white on all areas of a room looks fantastic, and it's a really good way to make a space feel bigger, because I guess if you have a space and you've got walls, you know, a particular color or even a particular white that varies from your ceiling white, where your cornice or where your ceiling meets your walls is where the eye will stop, and it sort of looks around and it can sort of size up a room if you like. Whereas if you use the same color on the walls and the ceiling, the eye doesn't have somewhere to stop, so it sort of looks up and over, and it can create the illusion of more space. I actually love using that. I think it looks fantastic and it works extremely well in many environments. Belinda, if you've got any more that you want to know about that, please just pop something else in the feed and I'll certainly do my best to answer it for you. Okay, hi Carla, thank you very much for joining us. You are saying thanks for your advice on my past project. You're very welcome. Now looking for a lovely blue to paint the bottom half of my bedroom on the panelling. I have Whisper White at the top. Okay, so Carla, what sort of blue? Are we talking a soft hue, or are you wanting to go quite intense, or are we talking about having a beautiful soft blue that has perhaps a greeny grey undertone or something like that? Because I can think of quite a few. So if you want to come back to me with a little bit more information, even regarding, you know, do you want it to be quite deep, or what are you imagining, and then I can help to bring your vision to life. Okay, what else do I have here? Okay, so the other question that I did have, I have a bedroom that is north facing and I want to create a dramatic look, and we are not afraid of colour. Awesome. So, excuse me, given that you receive a lot of natural light, why not go quite dark? Because you can certainly afford to have, you know, dark in a space that does have quite a lot of light. And I'm thinking that given that it's in a bedroom, you can go quite dark. And why not even think about painting the ceiling and the walls in the same colour? I think that can look quite fantastic. There's nothing like feeling sort of cocooned within your space. And the fact that it's a bedroom, doing that sort of technique works extremely well. It also works extremely well when we're talking about theatre rooms or lounge rooms, etc. I think it was, it may have been about 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had a live session with Carleen Duffy. And she actually talked about this technique within the session. So if you're wanting to learn more about that, it's certainly worth backtracking on our Facebook page and finding that live colour session and sort of having a watch, and you'll certainly learn some fantastic tips from Carleen. But you know, for now that we're talking about a bedroom and having something that's rather dramatic, why not go dark? And I'm thinking of quite a few colours, so I'm going to see whether I can get something up on the something up here on the screen. Okay, let me just see. Actually, what I might do is, I've got a couple of colours in mind. I might just take you straight to my fan deck. Okay, let's see whether I can grab that up here. I'll just see whether it seems to be very, very slow tonight, so I might just do the old manual way, fan deck. I think that's going to be better. As I said, we've got some really, really horrific weather here, so I think that may be affecting my streaming tonight, so I do apologise. Okay, so there's beautiful, beautiful tones, and there is a colour here that would look sensational for a bedroom space that is called Dark Eyes. Now, I'm just going to pop that up. You can see it's the bottom one here. It's very dark and very dramatic, but that would certainly work extremely well in a bedroom. As would, I quite like when we're talking about bedrooms using beautiful blues and beautiful greens. I think they are quite relaxing, and there's certainly a colour designed for a bedroom. I think it works really, really well. You could also look to do, this is another beautiful tone as well. So there's a couple here. It's still dramatic. It's probably not quite as dark as the one that I just showed you before. There's a colour called Silver Mink, which is here, which is beautiful. And that would certainly work really well for all of your walls. And why not have a look at doing your ceiling? And also as well, Scarborough Fair, I think that is the most beautiful colour there, and that would work extremely well in a bedroom environment as well. And you could put some beautiful tones with that, even going into some greens that are more yellow based would work really well with that. Again, I tend to, when we're talking about beautiful greeny blues, I do like to team them with dusty pinks. They work really well. Going into terracotta sort of hues, they just tend to sing when they're put together. And that creates the most magical space. But anyway, I hope that helps you. What else do I have here? I have another question. Hi Sandy, thank you very much for joining our session tonight. So you are looking for a shade of white that will lighten a room but won't be too stark against dark internal brick and brownish terracotta tiles. Please. Okay, so you're wanting a white that's going to lighten but won't be too stark against. Okay, let's have a look. And given that we're working with internal bricks and in brownish terracotta tiles, you could, I like to, when you're thinking about, when you're thinking about colours, you can sort of work on the opposite of the colour. Well, that's a really good place to start. But I'm also thinking, so, you know, if you've got red and you look at green, so you'd look at a white that has sort of a slight green-grey undertone, knowing that it's going to sit really well when we start to talk about reds, etc. So we're talking about reds going into terracotta tiles, so reds going into oranges, etc. So you could use something with a soft green-grey undertone. And depending on, I know you want something that's going to lighten the room, but you don't want it to be too stark. So why not have a look at, I'm just thinking that might be a little bit too, you could have a look at Taubmans Aspen Snow. You could also have a look, this is quite light though, but I still think it could work really well. Tahira White, that's certainly a white to have a look at. And you could also even go to the next one down, which is Straw and Grey. So, I mean, I can pop these up on the screen, but you're probably not going to see, well, you may do. So the first one up here is Tahira White, and then we've got Straw and Grey. So they are still quite light. They'll certainly change when you put them within your environment. And again, I would certainly suggest grabbing yourself a sample pot. Brushing out a piece of cardboard at least 1 metre by 1 metre and trialling the colour. Now the other one as well that I think would be well worth a look is here, which is your Aspen Snow. So the second one down, I think that would be worth having a look at and certainly would complement your brickwork, etc. quite well. And there is enough tint in there so that it is not too stark. But again, sample pot. Very important. And then if you're wanting to make the intensity, if you like, or the tint in your white pop, teaming it with Brilliant White Doors and Trims is going to frame the colour and allow it to come to life. All right, you know what? I think that pretty well concludes me being on screen. But I'm going to be available for the next half an hour or so to answer any further questions. So for everybody that have answered your questions live, if you do have anything else that you would like to know, please feel free to pop further questions into the feed. And also, if you do have any photos that you're wanting me to have a look at to help you with colour, etc., please pop your photos in once we finish streaming. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining our session tonight. And to let you know that we'll be back again next week, same time, same place. And until then, everybody stay safe and happy painting. See you later. Thanks.